Hello everybody, it's Wyvern here with a multiplayer quick battle head-to-head replay of me over here against Drago. I think I'm butchering that name horribly, playing as Chaos, me as Empire. Um, so we hop right in. This is the first multiplayer battle I'm going to be trying to cast. It is one of my own. I'm not by any means a great player at this game, at least not in multiplayer, and I am trying to sort of ease into it. But I did after having some good success with this sort of Empire build, I did feel like sharing it on YouTube, seeing what responses I'd get, seeing what people thought of it. So yeah, this is Empire against Chaos, very classic matchup. The Empire build I'm running here is very much oriented. I've been using a similar build against Undead as well. It's very much oriented against factions that don't have much shooting, but more heavily armored units and monstrous units, flying lords, that sort of thing. And it's been serving me pretty well, so I thought I'd share it. 2 units of demigryphs with halberds. One of those are the Royal Altdorf Griffites, both for the terror and because they're very high veterancy. Then 2 units of greatswords in the back, 3 units of flagellants, 3 units of handgunners, one of which is the Regiment of Round Silver Bullets. Volkmar the Grim. He's not a conventional pick from what I know. Most of what I see is Empire generals, probably because they're cheaper and they can get a potion at the same time, and that frees up more space for other units. I don't want to give Volkmar a try, plus it fit the anti-undead chaos theme, and then the light wizard here with just stripped down to nothing except the net of Amantok. And so yeah, Volkmar on the other hand is completely maxed out, including the War Altar of Sigmar and the Banishment, which I don't think is as popular, but I did think it was a decent pickup for about 170 gold. So yeah, my deployment, I put my handgunners in the front, the silver bullets in the center. I'm hoping they don't get spotted too early and don't take any fire. Behind them, as you can see, I've got the flagellants ready to push forward and shield the handgunners if needed, and each shot's tied the enemy down outside of range. Greatswords in the back, ready to dive in, support against any heavy infantry. I got 1 unit of demigryphs with halberds out here on the flank. I'm hiding the Royal Altdorf Griffites. They are hidden over here in the tree line, so they can come in and swing around. I was not expecting the Hell Cannon, so if they'd been forced to push into me, which is what I'd been hoping to, force, they would have been in a much better position there. Then I've got the Light Wizard and Volkmar in the center. Volkmar is there to provide a little bit of morale support. It's not too important with all the flagellants, but it is decent. Plus, he can provide all his battle prayers from there, and that should be a big boost. Light Wizard obviously ready to drop a net of Amantok from any angle. And yeah, that's that from my side. From the enemy side of things, 2 units of Forsaken right here, probably just for scouting, a little bit of zoning if I had any Vanguard deployed units. A single Hell Cannon up here, that's kind of the centerpiece of the army, ready to force me to come to him no matter where I deploy. Very central position there. And then 3 units of Chaos Warriors, 3 units of Chaos Marauders. The Chaos Marauders are all veteran up to rank 4, which will give them a little bit more leadership. That does buff them up to, I'm not entirely sure what. I assume that probably goes up from 74-ish to 78. I think it's usually 1 point. Backed up to the Chaos Warriors, they'll be pretty strong against most Empire Infantry, because most Empire Infantry is pretty squishy, doesn't have much armor, especially against something like Flagellants, though Marauders won't trade well with Flagellants, the Chaos Warriors will do fine. Sparring Champions and a Exalted Hero over here, those will both do a good job of providing inspiration, stiffening up the front line, dishing out additional damage. Then on the flank here, we do have a Chaos Warrior on a Dragon and 2 Feral Manticores, that creating something of like a flying goon squad, I guess, ready to flank and damage me heavily from the side. I didn't see most of this army initially. Most of them were hidden in the tree line or behind the ridge, kind of flickering in and out of vision. But without further ado, let's start the game. So immediately Hellcannon's going to fire over here. I immediately see the Hellcannon and start moving. Unfortunately I moved the Flagellants first, and so they kind of start intermingling with the handgunners, which is not good. But my whole army's moving. I move my demigryphs, and this is a big mistake I make. I try to juke around. I had a different, I initially just planned to move them that way. Then I planned to turn them away to avoid the shot. I completely misjudged where I was going to go, and it nearly cost me some demigryphs there. I then take a huge hit over here, lose some Flagellants, and lose 15 handgunners, which is actually a pretty significant loss this early into the game. It's not good. The Royal Elf Griffites are still stealthed. They're still hidden, slowly sneaking them up through the woods, hoping that the engagement takes place somewhere in this field. But I'm trying to get clear of this cannon. I want to get clear of its arc. Fortunately, there's no manual aim as far as I can tell, so it only clips the great swords for 7 models. Obviously not great, not terrible. My light wizard's getting a little ahead of himself here, so I do pull him back in a second, while sneaking these Royal Elf Griffites up. Unfortunately, this shot does hit my great swords, but it's a bit meatier of a hit. That's 8 models down, and now things are finally kind of drawing up into a proper fight. The Hellcannon does get, I think, one more shot in, which will, I think, should hit my great swords over here. So in the meantime, I'm trying to position flagellants to screen my front, trying to push my handgunners into position to open fire on this infantry, and in the meantime, these demigryphs are sitting right here just to kind of zone. I do realize that my Royal Elf Griffites, and you can always see the move order going down, I do realize that they're not going to be able to stay hidden for long. I don't want them all the way back here, because at that point they might be too late to flex, and it is 1800 points I'm keeping off the field if I just keep them in reserve there, and there's no the opportunity never presents itself. Also at this point, because I do see the Forsaken coming around, I do see the flying units, I'm realizing that there's probably no cavalry on the field. I'm not too worried about that anymore. Great swords are still pushing up. There was a huge meaty hit here, 14 models down. And initially I'm pushing my handgunners up here, and my plan is to just burn through the Chaos Marauders. I don't plan to try to hit the Chaos Warriors in the back. I'm going to pause for a second. I don't plan to hit the Chaos Warriors in the back, because I don't really think I could shoot through them with a flat trajectory. But I do just plan to burn through the Chaos Marauders, make it easier for my great swords later on down the road. But as it turns out, I see these Goon Squad just fly straight over my demigryphs. I know they're going for my handgunners. And so I drop a net of Ammontok, overcast of course, no other way to do it really, and it hits all of them. As you can see, fortunately this shot missed my greatsword, so they didn't take any further damage from the Hellcannon. And now all my handgunners who are here, they're in a bit of an awkward spot. They will now turn around and they will all open up on this Chaos Lord. And I don't know why my opponent popped standard die. He might have been hoping to make sure that his opponent his Lord didn't break, and that way he could get use of the potion of toughness, which will be popping shortly. My demigryphs are down here waiting still, in case he decides to drop down. My flagellants pushing up, of course, to engage this front line of Chaos Marauders. They'll do very well against them. This Exalted Hero actually sneaks past my greatswords. I wasn't paying good enough attention there, and so I'm forced to pull Volkmar to deal with him. Greatswords now pushing in. They are just getting kind of caught up in this mosh pit. These flagellants pull off. Volkmar hits the Exalted Hero. And now I'm using these flagellants and greatswords to hold this front line. Demigryphs going around from flank. The Chaos Lord is forced to break and flee, which I do believe should interrupt his healing. I've tried to pull my demigryphs back to deal with this Manticore over here, and I do take this disgusting hit on my handgunners, which cost me another 11 models. My silver bullets are getting torn up, but I do get the demigryphs on top of the Manticore. And my light wizard is getting Arcane Conduit pop, trying to recharge his net of Ammontok. These handgunners are as good as gone. I've surrendered. I've realized these guys will most likely not escape, so I'm just leaving them here. They're a bit of a sacrificial lamb at this point. They're going to get eaten by the Forsaken. Nothing to stop that from happening. But in the meantime, my Royal Elf Griffites are hammering the back of these Chaos Marauders and Chaos Warriors. I think it's mostly Chaos Warriors here, actually. The Aspiring Champions. I'm going to be cycle charging them in and out. Exalted Hero is slowly getting murdered by Volkmar the Grim, and I'm shortly going to as this unit breaks. And this Manticore is finally basically killed off. Volkmar is getting actually beaten up pretty bad by the Exalted Hero, whose cooldowns just broke, or just ended with him breaking. I'm going to use demigryphs are going to kill off this Manticore, and now I'm going to use them in place of infantry just to hold this Forsaken. I can't pull any infantry off my front line at this stage, even though my flagellants wouldn't take any morale damage. Obviously, they're unbreakable. I don't want to just ditch this front line and hope that my greatswords hold, or ditch the flagellants to get massacred. So I'm actually going to, until all this breaks, I'm actually going to end up using these poor demigryphs. They're going to be used as essentially a meat shield here, and I'm not sure if this was the right choice still, but they do the job well. And shortly my light wizard will have Net of Ammontok back up, and he will be capable of overcasting it on these Forsaken. In the meantime, Volkmar is running on the exact Assaulted Champion. This Hellcannon really doesn't have too many shots. It will try to clip these guys out here, but not going to do too much damage. I'm trying to get my Royal Elf Griffites on Chaos Warriors, because those are the units I'm most worried about, and I want to chase off the field for good if possible. Now, Volkmar over here chases down the Exalted Hero. I do believe he dies shortly. Now these guys get hit by the Net of Ammontok. I immediately pull the demigryphs back. and start hammering away at him with handgunners, just start wailing on him. This infantry is slowly breaking apart. The Chaos Warriors are the only ones, and Exalted or Aspiring Champions are the only ones holding. Unfortunately for my opponent, his units do flee pretty far away, but now they are recovering, so they could possibly regroup and come back in. I do throw my Demigryphs into the charge, try to hammer these Forsaken a little bit more. Poor Volkmar gets caught out, and he's getting hammered by the enemy Lord, who's popped everything he's got. Filth Mace, Deadly Onslaught, Potion of Strength. I'm popping everything I can to keep Volkmar alive and just trying to escape at this stage. I pull my Demigryphs out. I pull the Flagellants down to block these Forsaken at least a little bit, though my Silver Bullets are eating a lot of damage here. I no longer have an Adamantok, and so now I throw the Demigryphs in, and they manage to catch the Chaos Lord and they kill him. At this point, my opponent decides to call it a game. He could have possibly kept fighting. I don't believe his infantry was completely broken, or not completely shattered. Obviously, his cannon's not going to rout. And he still had a Chaos Manticore, fairly good HP. Most of my infantry was pretty mangled. And the only unit I think that wasn't particularly mangled was the Royal Elf Griffites. So, I don't know if that was quite a GG yet, but my opponent decided to call it at that. Now here in the final screen, we can see the Hell Cannon did work. 100 kills. And actually gained a chevron. I don't believe it came in with a chevron, so that's pretty impressive. It just was allowed to fire the whole game. I didn't really have anything to shut it down with. His Marauders didn't do too well. They're not particularly great against Flagellants. Aspiring Champions did okay. One of the units of Chaos Warriors got some work done. They probably mostly just fought the Flagellants, though, I assume, because against Greatswords, my Greatswords didn't take too much damage outside of that initial cannon shot. They lost about half their models. They lost about a quarter apiece to the cannon. And then Forsaken did really well because they got into the squishy handgunners. Manticores, one of them, this one was itself full HP at the end of the game, but this one just got melted trying to charge those handgunners, which was a really expensive waste. And of course the Chaos Lord and the Exalted Hero got almost nothing done. The Exalted Hero tried to go after Volkmar, got shut down hard, and the Chaos Lord got shot up horribly by my handgunners initially. It actually interrupted his potion of healing, or his potion of toughness, and he was forced to retreat. On my end of things, Volkmar actually did okay. Light Wizard obviously didn't get any kills, but he was just there to be a net of Adamantok battery. It might be a little abusive net of Adamantok, but that is kind of what it's there for. It is to give the Empire some major use out of his handgunners. Flagellants did okay against the Chaos Marauders. Obviously, these guys must have been stuck against, I assume, Chaos Warriors. Perhaps they also just got mosh pitted with the Great Swords. It's also a possibility. Regardless, they didn't get too many kills, but not too much damage taken either. These Great Swords both did okay, 42 and 85 kills, which given that they were against Chaos Marauders, most of those once again are probably against Chaos Marauders. Just like most of these kills are probably against Flagellants. It does seem like it was mostly a. But I do assume that some of the Great Swords had to pick off these Chaos Warriors. The handgunners, obviously not too many kills, but the Silver Bullets probably dumped most of these kills were probably against the Forsaken that got netted. These poor handgunners, that was the unit that got caught out on the flank, massacred. But they did amazing work. They shut down the Chaos Lord, and that's something that can't be counted in kills, but that was certainly huge. Some of these Demigryphs killed the Manticore. They held off those Forsaken long enough for my handgunners to get clear, or at least two of the units to get clear, and and then they ended up finishing the Chaos Lord off, which was a massive contribution. And then the Royal Elf Griffites ended up cycle charging a lot of the Marauders and the Warriors and Aspiring Champions to a breaking point, which was a solid contribution in its own right. So I do think I got decent use out of most of my units. I could have definitely done some things better. I could have definitely deployed my handgunners more competently. Neither me and I wouldn't think my opponent, neither me nor my opponent were most likely the best of players, but we did give it the best shot each, and I want to thank him for the good game, and hope you guys enjoyed. Oh wow, actually my Greatsword's ranked up as well. That's pretty surprising. But if you're getting distracted, I do hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked it, if you have any suggestions on improvement, how I could improve my casts, or these sort of multiplayer, or these sort of quick match breakdowns, I'd love to hear about it. If you have any of your own replays that you'd like to send in for me to cast or for me to do breakdowns of, so we can kind of nitpick and see what can be improved, what can be done better, then feel free to send them in. Feel free to email them to me. I will be posting that down in the description of the video below. Perhaps I'll get a better system set up eventually, but that it will have to do for now. Yeah, I appreciate you all for watching. If you enjoyed, feel free to subscribe or like. Whether or not you enjoyed it or not, if you have any comments, criticism, critique, constructive advice that you'd like to offer, feel free to post a comment, and I'll be sure to read it and hopefully respond. Yeah, thank you all for watching. Bye for now.